What's going on, you guys? So I wanted to cover an update from General Staff. This is an upcoming battle, tactical slash operational level game from Dr. Ezra Sidran, PhD, who's basically, an AI master in programming AI. And this is what kind of like took me to this game, got me extremely interested in it because he wants to make basically the most challenging AI possible, which is awesome. All right, let's take a look at it. Why a perfectly working wargame AI might result in our killing us in our sleep. All right, let's take a look at this. So as you can see, this is actually really cool. But it comes part of this nice little blog here. Why machines may kill us in our sleep. The screenshot above is a visual representation of what the AI is up to. You won't get to see this in the actual game. The program that's running is called an AI editor, which is a bit of a misnomer because you don't actually edit the AI in it. You mostly just get to observe what it's doing. There's a lot of stuff going on in the above image. There are multiple layers visually displaying different types of data. But what interests us are the AI layers, battle groups, objectives, and that thin yellow line that snakes from a group of blue units crossing Antietam Creek at the middle bridge, and then amazingly exploiting a data anomaly to reach its goal point far beyond enemy lines. Ah, interesting. Oh, wow. Some background on this situation. Underlying all the cluster from the first screen capture top is the Battle of Antietam. The map has been rotated 90 degrees to the left, so north is now pointing to the left. East is at the top of the screen. After adding blue and red Confederate units to the map in its historically positions at 0600, the AI performed a tactical analysis from the perspective of blue. All right, let's take a look at it. Conclusions. Each non-special battle group will be assigned the primary objective nearest victory point. Each non-special battle group will assign the secondary objective. I must destroy an enemy infantry unit every 21.6 turns to win. The above are a list of predicate statements, all of which the AI knows to be true. Statements preceded by the logical sign are conclusions or inferences derived from the predicate statement reference in the brackets. It is this analysis that determines if the AI will be on the offensive or defensive and what the objectives will be. Next, the AI performs range of influence calculations for the entire observable battlefield. I plan on doing a video about this later, but for now, the darker the red in the upmost screen capture, the more powerful weapons the Red Army can bear on that point. The AI next divides all the units on the map into a forest of minimum spanning trees called battle groups. I want to do a video about this too. However, if you can't wait, these objectives are covered in my paper. Again, referring to the top screenshot, you can see the AI's calculations to this point. It has determined blue will be on the offensive. It has calculated the enemy, what was that called? Range of influence as assigned objectives to the first battle group. Okay. So we got battle group 0, battle group 4. Okay. Interesting. Now the AI needs to determine if the enemy has an open or unanchored flank. I published the algorithm for flank attributed to value function right. It basically comes down to this. Can the AI trace an unbroken path from the center of the blue battle group to a specific point called the retreat point far beyond enemy lines without crossing into no-go areas, water, swamp, or entering any area controlled by red's range of influence? Literally, the red area is in utmost top part of the screenshot. The reason that I was using Antietam as a test case for anchored and unanchored flanks is because years ago I had to analyze the battle for my doctoral thesis and knew it to be a classic example of anchored flanks. Lee's left flank rests on the Potomac and his right flank is anchored on the Antietam. Granted, the Confederate flanks were held by Stuart's cavalry with a little force, artillery support, but they were still by definition anchored flanks. Due to an error in data that made up Antietam terrain map, 1 pixel strip of no terrain was inserted at the far right. This meant was a land bridge across Antietam Creek where none existed in real life, a digital parting of the Red Sea, if you will. But by rules of the game, the AI perfectly performed its function. There was no error in the AI again, and the AI performed better than I had dared hope. The error was with the data set. Okay. Let's see. And that's how 50 years from now I can see a cyber detective standing over the chalk marks around a body saying, yeah, the machine performed perfectly brilliant, in fact, but the error in the data set killed him. It already happened in real life for cars, with the autopilot data set of the world in which it operates is crucial. So I fixed the error in the data sets and imported it back to Antietam map using a general staff map editor, and saved and ran the AI editor again and saw this red's flanks are anchored. Okay. The AI did not display a yellow path from the center of the blue battle group to the red retreat point because none existed. Instead, it just wrote the first predicate statement in a tactical analysis: red flanks are anchored. Again, the machine was performed perfectly, and its results were no longer surprising. Okay, so basically, what does this mean? It means that the AI is daggone smart. It knows that Stuart was holding here against the river, and then it went all the way over here to Stuart holding the bridge here and here. So there was no way to turn the flank, which will then take the AI into its next course of option, which is probably attack the weakest point, things like that. But what really excites me, guys, about this is that the AI is thinking. You know, there's numerous games that I've played where the AI is just is not it's not thinking, it's not taking chances, it's just wherever it was deployed, that's where it is, and it's just waiting for the user to kill it. And it's not fun when that happens. And I've played multiple games where that happens, and it's just it takes a lot out of the game, to the point where I literally a lot of times just end the game. I'm like, you know what, I'm not playing with this broken AI where it just basically, you know, idle. It just stands there and saying, all right, go ahead, take me out, kind of thing, and not thinking. This game will be different. This game will be very, very different. I actually had the opportunity to interview the developer, and we dived into a lot of his AI analysis, and it gets very, very detailed in it. So if you want to listen to that interview, it's on Developer Dialogue, on the podcast, or any of your favorite podcast apps. But what really gets me excited about this is this AI is going to be extremely challenging. And it's not going to be, it's not going to sit idle. It's going to basically take the best you got to give and, you know, make it challenging for you and make you lose badly at times. So I'm looking forward to this a great deal. And the awesome thing about this is it's not just covering Civil War, right? Like he just chose Antietam. It's going to be covering a lot of other battles from a lot of different conflicts. So it's not just going to be a Civil War and, you know, it's like, oh, well, it's just Civil War. I wish it covered other battles. It will. I forgot which other battles it will cover. I think I've seen... I don't want to kind of speculate, but I know it covers a number of other conflicts. Well, we know it's going to cover, it looks like, Trenton and Princeton. That's one that I would love to play. Especially, I mean, I would play the Americans, but I would like to see from the Hessian point of view, you know? Let's see what other games. I could have sworn Alamo is in. I'm not going to just put that out there, but I remember seeing something like on the Texan War of Independence, but I'm not going to confirm that. Missionary Ridge, we know that's Civil War. Kay's Attack, we know that's Civil War, but I gotta see if there's something. Facts. See if we can find what other conflicts it's gonna cover. Probably gonna have to do a video just on that to see what scenarios it's gonna cover. But definitely American Revolution, it looks like. So hopefully it covers the major things like you saw Trenchard and Princeton. Saratoga would be great. Yorktown would be awesome. I would love an Alamo kind of situation. Also, man, what happened after the Alamo? Not Travis, Fannon's column, but the battle that won the actual Texas conflict. I totally forgot the name of it, but the one that we all know. I don't know why my brain can't think of it. But other things that I would love to see is, I don't think I've seen anything that he's going to cover on World War I and World War II. I think for right now he's kind of like focusing on, as you can see, American Revolution, Civil War, some Napoleonic battles would be kind of cool. But I would love to see a system like this cover everything, even modern conflicts, which would be awesome. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I can't wait to get my hands on this game. It'll be awesome. And catch you guys in the next one. See you then.